Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilberts, as we sit down and take a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics with weekly interviews with coaches and athletes. This is Titan Table Talk. Good afternoon, Titan family, Titan fans, and welcome inside the Ames Library podcast studio for the first time in about a month. It is the 15th episode and the first of 2024 here on Titan Table Talk. And Brandon, welcome in for the first time this year. Most importantly, how was our trip to Italy over break?
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to be here. And just talking about our team and the Italy trip is something that was really special and something that I think our guys really enjoyed. And I thought, the biggest thing for us, while in Italy is how do we become a little bit closer and become great teammates for each other and get a chance to compete and sightsee. And I thought we got a chance to do all those things. And our guys, in those opportunities to play and compete in 3 matches with 3 evenly matched teams, I thought, our guys came in and played really well for us, switching up our lineups and just trying new things. But from everyone that had a chance to make that trip, they made the most of it.
Yeah. Well, we're starting off the volleyball court. What were some of your favorite places you went, favorite things you saw?
Yeah, it was beautiful over there. Every place had its own unique feel and atmosphere. And, I enjoyed Como as it was a little bit more laid back and just a beautiful place to see. We also got to go see Milan, Florence, and Rome, which are incredible places with so many unique places to see. And those places were quite crowded as we went over New Year's, and the guys got to experience all that brought to being over the holidays. And but I thought Rome, obviously with the Colosseum is pretty incredible how big that place is and how incredible it is.
Colossal. Yes,
you might say that.
You might say.
Uh-huh.
So I know there were some various team activities planned along the way as well. I saw a couple of highlights. Was it pizza making? Was it pasta making?
Pasta
something?
making.
Okay.
So that was a really good time. It was a chance to have all our families and the players together and just experience something really new for pretty much all of us, and get a chance to do that and try some really good food and just bond over a really good meal was something that I really enjoyed doing. So,
favorite single meal or food item of the trip? Or your top 12?
Yeah, exactly. All of it was really good. We obviously had a lot of pasta. I had some really good pizza as well, and some chicken parm, which probably was my favorite.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
So switching into volleyball mode there, when you were over there, played 3 matches. I know, it's kind of an interesting balance when you strike it, because, some teams will do a foreign trip over the summer. Some teams do it when you're kind of, you're doing a little bit of separate training in the off season, or football trip in May or something like that. For you guys, yes, it's over break, but it really leads into your season. So it's a lot more than just, a couple of off-season exhibitions. You're really kind of trying to get a feel for seeing especially some newcomers in action and seeing your returners in action for the first time in a Titan uniform, and since April last year. Yeah. How do you balance kind of obviously trying to give everybody a chance to play, but also trying to get a feel for letting some of your rotations play together and get used to playing with each other?
Yeah, I think that was a big part of doing it when we did it. It was a chance to get those incoming freshmen an opportunity to compete and get thrown into some game-like situations with the older guys, and to just kind of get a taste of what it's going to be like. And so everyone got a lot of opportunities to compete and play as we played 15 sets while we were over there. But I definitely tried some lineups that I thought would possibly be ones that we saw during the season here, and especially early on. But I also think it was, I used it to, lead into the season and give us kind of a little bit advantage of getting the opportunity to see our guys compete earlier than anybody else, and give us kind of a head start there.
Yeah, and as we get into the games that count, so to speak, open in the season this coming Sunday on the road up at Lakeland. A couple of matches, 3 p.m. against Olivet and 5 p.m. against Lakeland. As you look forward to that, I know we're still trying to figure out some starting lineups and things like that. But as you look forward to that, how are we preparing for those matchups this weekend for teams that you have at least some familiarity with?
Yeah, so our guys are extremely excited. We've been back in the gym for a week here at the Shirk Center, and so we got a few more practices until we started off on Sunday against Olivet and Lakeland, and neither of those teams have played yet, and so I know Lakeland plays tonight against Carthage, which will be good to just see them compete and play and get after it, and then Olivet plays Friday and Saturday, and so both those teams will have a little head start, match-wise, but it'll give us an opportunity to see them and kind of know what we're heading into, come Sunday, and so we're excited.
Yeah. And one of the things that we have not been able to say in the first 3 years of this program is that we've actually got a senior class this year for the first time. One of those interesting things in that, when you have a beginning program that, obviously started 3 years ago, is that you have almost a little bit of a weird advantage of having some 4-year captains and 4-year leaders and guys with a lot of leadership experience now because they were simply thrown into that fire 3 years ago, and you've got a team of 14 freshmen. Do you feel like that's at all an advantage for you guys in many ways coming into this year? What have you seen as the senior class has grown and developed over the years?
Yeah, I don't know how it can't be an advantage for us. I mean, we have 11 seniors right now, and a lot of them have had a ton of playing time, which at the end of the day is a huge advantage for anybody. And so a lot of those guys have had 4 years of competing and playing at a high level. They know what to expect. They know what all these teams can bring. And so, but the biggest thing with that is just, our senior leadership is, off the court just as much. And so how do they get our guys mentally ready to go and get their bodies prepared, to, compete at the highest level. And so those have been some really big things for us just early on is being mentally prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you look at, bringing the next generation of Titans in, I know it gets a little bit easier to recruit, as you always say, once you have a couple of years of foundation built. You can, recruits can look at the improvements in the program over the years. But anything in particular that you've been excited to see from the newcomer group so far? Yeah,
we brought in 5 new guys, and so they're brought a lot to the table so far. They bring an energy that we haven't felt. They bring some really good athleticism and competitiveness to them, and so since we started practice, it's just elevated throughout the fall until now. It's these guys have upped the level in the gym, which is only going to make us better going forward. And so we've taken some good strides the first 3 years, but this year I think we have a chance to take a really big stride forward and. Led by those seniors.
Yeah. Any particular goals in mind heading into the year in terms of, we go from 3 to 8 to 11 victories over the last couple of years, competing with some really high-level teams in the CCW in particular, and watching the growth of this program. Is there any kind of little benchmarks along the way you have in mind that you like to see, or is it just let's see what we can do?
Yeah, I think those things are always, great for us to have and see that game improvement, but at the end of the day for me it is a process, and so how do we improve each and every day? And I think if we do those things, the sky's the limit on the victories and those types of things. We're pushing each other in the gym and getting after it, and so that's really what I'm looking for right now. I know at the end of the day, our team is they want to make the conference tournament and those types of things, which is always great, and those things can happen if we, keep getting a little bit better each and every practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, looking forward to seeing the first 2 matches coming up next week. Once again, Sunday, Titans open on the road against Olivet and Lakeland at 3 and 5. Those are both played up at Lakeland, and we don't have to wait too much longer for the home opener. It is January 23rd, next Tuesday, against Rockford at 7 p.m. Come on out and check out Brandon Mueller's Titan squad this spring. Once again, home opener is January 23rd, 7 p.m. Thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with wrestling head coach Brett Robbins.
They say inside every challenge is an opportunity. At Illinois Wesleyan, you have the power to seize that opportunity. Discover the tools, the mentors, and the experiences to take on any challenge and shape not just who you are, but who you will become. The best college in Illinois for jobs is right here. Tap or click now to start your free application and break through at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Welcome back, and we've got a first-time guest with us, both coach-wise and program-wise, here on Titan Table Talk Now. It is our head men's and women's wrestling coach, Brett Robbins. Brett, thanks for joining us. How are we doing today?
Doing well. Just got a good lift in, so a little fatigued, but overall feeling pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very nice. So going back to this spring, last winter, the process of bringing this program back, and for all of the viewers and the listeners out there who may not have followed that process very, very closely, weren't around the building for all the little details as they went down, give us a little insight, obviously, as a Bloomington native, into your thought process in taking the job and deciding to come back and restart this program after so many years, and what your decision process was like.
Well, first off, a lot of the decisions I make are based on my wife, and she kind of gave me the go-ahead on this one, which was cool. But I just went back. Me and Mike had some conversations. I knew some people that kind of found out it was coming back, and they kind of reached out to me, and it was, hey, they're going to do this. Are you interested? And at first, it was kind of, let me think about it, and then just as it developed and talking to Mike and kind of what he thought and his vision and, what I'd heard about him, it just kind of made me look into it more. And then basically came down, asking more questions. And then it's like, well, we want you to apply then. And so I did. And, it just kind of developed into a good relationship. And, there are some things that I really like about the school. And kind of just from there, it just kind of took off. And just in the end, I decided it was an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to be a head coach. And as a coach and, and as an athlete, you're kind of told, get comfortable being uncomfortable, stretch yourself, do things that maybe you normally wouldn't do. And for me, I was like, well, if I'm telling this to my athletes where I was at, why, if I don't do it myself, what am I? So in the end, I was like, I'm going to challenge myself here and take on something new. So in the end, that's kind of what happened. And now I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're thrilled to have you.
Yeah. So,
one of those many challenges that we went through, last year and bringing that program back was, of course, the facility.
Yeah.
So for those who aren't familiar with what the plan is right now, both for practices and meets and everything like that, Can you kind of walk us through what was going on last year with basically the creation of a new facility for wrestling?
So Mike and I had some discussions about what it could look like. He looked at some other off-campus buildings, and worst case scenario was going to have to be in the field house, kind of rolling and unrolling. And for me, I was like, I don't want to do that. I had zero interest in doing that, and him too. So we kind of, the old YMCA was bought by Eastview Church, and pretty much the whole upstairs is vacant. So we went over there one day, and he showed me around and was like, well, what do you think? And I hadn't been in there in years, so I was kind of like, where are we going to, But we're upstairs in the old men's locker room. I mean, it was kind of, I don't know, it's half tore apart, half together, same with the weight room and just kind of everything. And he's like, what do you think? And I just kind of did my thing. I'm walking around on my own. I'm thinking to myself and kind of look up at him. I was like, I think it can work, space-wise. And I think Mike looks at me like, really? I'm like, yeah, I think it will. And, we can do this. This can come to here. And in my vision, in my head right away and kind of what I thought. And he kind of moved forward ahead with it. So we have about 2 full mats of wrestling space. We have space on the end for cardio equipment. So we have, we have bikes, we have skiers, we have weights, we have weight equipment at the building. We have a big oversized lounge, which used to be the old men's locker room upstairs. We have a nutrition center that's getting finished up. We have an athletic training room up there where our trainer Kayla, she does a great job with our guys, but she takes care of them. And then we have men and women's locker rooms. They're separate and recovery stuff. So in the end, it turned out to be a really, really good space for our guys, and they really like it. So it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, so I've heard. I have yet to actually make it over with you guys to check it out, but I need to do that one of these days for sure. Yeah,
definitely. And it's going to be a work in progress, and I know that. I mean, there's things that I want to do, but also some things take time, and you get to kind of like in wrestling, like you get 95% of the way, and the last probably few percent is the most important or the most detailed, and that's kind of where we're at right now, so getting it branded and maybe touching up things and getting some things fixed. So we're working through that, but as a whole, I mean, it's a really good space. Our guys like being over there, and you kind of see them throughout the day now. Like sometimes they'll be there before practice, or they're watching matches, or they're doing something, or they're with Kayla and just spending time there more now. So I just want it to be like a welcoming space for them and a space where they feel comfortable or they want to go hang out. It's like, I'm going to go to the room, and, I mean, that's kind of what I want. You want guys in the room, and that's what they're doing more of. Yeah.
Kind of pivoting from facilities over to the other, obvious, most important part of coming in mid-year and trying to put a program together that can compete next year is, of course, recruiting on that very, very late timetable, both working with upperclassmen who might be on campus or interested in getting back into the sport, and then trying to get a few freshmen in to supplement as well. What was that part of the process like for you?
It was definitely like we need a team, so it was like, well, all hands on deck. For me anyways, it was just me at that time, and just started going through like a lot of local kids and then kind of going through like the rankings and recruiting stuff. But in the end, it just really hammered like a few, local kids or maybe some kids that had reached out. And that was the process that, Mike and Tony kind of had started already, and kind of like, well, here's a bunch of names, here you go. And then basically I was like, just going down it, like, are you interested? Like, what's going on? You interested? And got a lot of no's at that point, because I got hired, I guess April 1 is my official start date.
Yeah.
I wasn't here till probably the end of April for my onboarding. And then after that, and then I moved here in August full time. So I was going back and forth between here and Iowa. But, we got some good kids, I think. That transfer, like Bobby Conroy's done really well so far this year. He transferred from Bates. He does lacrosse too. And then we have some local kids. And then, actually on campus, there was actually a few kids that were, like, I guess one kid just bothered Mike all the time. Like, we need a wrestling program. We need a program. We need a program. And, well, we got to do this or we got to do this. And so he had one. And, I think that onboarding day, I saw him. And he goes, hey, are you the new wrestling coach? And I was like, yeah. I'm Coach Robbins. What's up, man? Nice to meet you. And I'm Omar. I'm wrestling. And then he just kept walking. And I was like, okay, sweet. So that, kind of that. And then he knew some guys that were interested. And then I had a couple other guys reach out to me that had experience in high school. And just like, hey, I want to come out. And for me, I was like, I wanted numbers, but I also wanted the right kids.
Right.
I just want to take on anybody. And because I did tell one kid no, just kind of how it shook out. But, I had a couple kids that were like, I want to contribute to the success. And I had another kid say, when I wrestle or if I'm wrestling, it makes me a better person. And I think that's all encompassing with like the discipline and the hard work and all that stuff. So for me, those were answers I could accept. And I was like, you know what, okay. And I'd sat on it for a few days, and then a couple of days later, I'd be like, do you really want this? I want it, Coach. Okay, well, then you got to be all in. I'm all in. Okay, well, let's get moving then. So that's how the process went. And just right now, it's just a lot of, reaching out to kids too, because we still, we have a number we want to try to get to. And but it's a number of, like I kind of said, like starting something, you want the right kids, you want a strong foundation. So really trying to find, good student athletes and good individuals that are going to come in and love the sport. They're going to work hard. They're going to be coachable, all those kinds of things, Yeah. So we're just working through that right now with the recruiting and getting our numbers up and getting commits. So that's where we're at.
In addition to, the kind of those two obvious things, we need a place to wrestle, you need wrestlers. Were there any other kind of challenge that you didn't foresee with restarting this team?
Scheduling was a little different. I had some teams reach out to me right away, like, hey, we need to wrestle. And at that point, I maybe had 3 guys that I knew of, and I was like, well, we don't really have a team. I'd love to wrestle, man. I promise you, I want to compete. I'm a competitor, like, at everything. Even playing like Uno with my daughter, that's like no mercy. And same for like I lose and I get upset, but that's just a competitor in me. But I was like, let me build a little bit, let me see where we end up, and then at that time too, I thought I was gonna have about more guys, and then I had about 5 or 6 I think that were kind of all gonna be bunched up at like 2 weight classes, and I was like, okay, so I have these 2 weights, and then I have a heavyweight, and then I have a bunch in the middle. And I was like, and they're all the same weights. But ended up shaking out, they kind of all spread out. So maybe looking back, I could have probably wrestled because I think we have about 7 weights now. But at that time, I only knew of a couple. So I unfortunately had to tell like some conference teams no, or some other teams had reached out. And, next year definitely be, full schedule. We're going to be in our CCIW schedule. We're going to be in tournaments, and, we plan on being a full go for the men and women next season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So kind of a quick recap of the season thus far. For those who've been following along on iwsports.com, seen the articles, seen the summaries over the last couple months. But the Milliken Open, the first competition in a couple of decades for the wrestling program. Bobby Conroy, as you mentioned, second in that one at 184. Took second again at Co back in November 18th. Austin Johnson, freshman from Normal West, was fourth at 133 there. And then finished up the first semester up at North Central on December 9th. How'd you feel overall coming out of those three?
I felt like the first 2 weekends, I felt like we competed hard. Our effort was really high, I thought. And when we went up to North Central, I mean, it was a tough tournament. There was 4, and probably now there's probably at least 5 of the top 10 teams were there in, Division III in the country, and then a couple others that were pretty good. And, we got matched up with some good kids, second round, quarterfinal round in that area. And I felt like when we knew we could compete pretty well. We did well, and then it was like Russell, a better kid, and I was like, I don't know, and we kind of got our tail kicked in, and so I felt like we backed off on that, because that can't be part of our identity. It's got to be we got to fight the whole time. We got to wrestle through every position, and the first 2 weeks as a whole, I thought we did that. And I know just where we're at as a program with some athletes that we added, maybe took a year off or 2 years off or 3 years off, because I added some seniors. It's where we're at as a program. So, but Bobby's done a good job. He's got to trust himself more, and he'll tell you that. He's done a better job hand fighting. He's doing a better job riding. So as a whole, just trusting himself to get to the leg attacks. And then, Austin Johnston, I mean, he was a kid we recruited and brought in, and he seemed like he was all in, and then actually he told me no, he wasn't coming. And I was like, oh, man, didn't expect that one. And then into the summer, it was like, I think I want to do this. And he's done a great job. He's a great leader. But he wrestles hard the whole time. That's one of the things I like about him, is he competes hard, but he puts himself in bad positions sometimes. So just kind of shoring that up and go for it, but go for it in the right time. Go for it at the right spots, not be the gunslinger and put yourself to your back or give up points late, which he's done. So, we're kind of shoring some of those things up, and then obviously bringing other guys along too. So Christmas break was really good for us as a whole. We got better, like just as a team. I mean, our assistant coach looked over at me the one day and was like, man, it looks like we know what we're doing. But it was more just like the effort in the room was better. Instead of it being so lopsided some days, it was like, you can kind of see like guys kind of jumping levels, or this guy's pushing this guy, he's pushing him back, and it's kind of spreading throughout the room. So, for us, I was like, man, this, it's exciting, and guys are getting better at the right time. And, we wrestle again this weekend. We were going to wrestle last weekend. We got snowed out. And I'll be honest, I was like, we're going. Like, we'll find a way, and that's just kind of my mentality. But they ended up, they said no, so we didn't get to travel. But we trained, through it. We did like a mock weigh-in. We did some simulation matches, which was good for the team. And then, we got a good workout in this morning already. And, we're going to keep building towards this weekend, and then we go to Dubuque, and then we have our conference tournament. So, kind of got those in front of us right now, and then get into the postseason, so.
Yeah, the end of the season sneaking up already. That January 20th up at Harper, February 3rd at Dubuque, and then February 15th CCW's up at Elmhurst. So, yeah, good luck with everything, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.